I hope it might also. So it's the Modern File Scrum. I have been having some trouble with my internet, so if I just drop off, you'll know why. But BT is saying that they're going to fix it. But yes, we'll see. Sam and Stamatios and Brent here. It is a Wednesday in early January 2018. Sounds very futuristic, doesn't it? At least to me. Yes. What I've had a unfortunately ultimately frustrating morning. I've been working in LibreOffice Base on a project for one of our one of our paid projects, Anthony Power Society, and I made good progress. And then, I mean, the LibreOffice Base crashes occasionally. Well, it sort of freezes occasionally. And previously, when I've like killed it and reloaded it, it just sort of says, "Oh, I'll repair that file for you," and sorts it out. And this time now, I've just lost the entire thing. So I'm kind of it's probably only about 3 hours work that I've lost in total, but it's deeply frustrating. I'm just going to have to institute a new backup policy with that. There we go. In other things, I'm having some fun kicking around unit tests in website 1 to adjust the domain model. What else happened yesterday? We had the NHS meeting. Looking at some new graphs and things of that, just exploring another possibility of another paid project. Slowly and steady start at the beginning of the year. No real blocks other than frustration with the way LibreOffice backup system works. It's got like in like a temporary folder, it's got like thousands of versions of the file, but they're all 0 kilobytes in size, which is like
annoying. Yeah.
There we go. Anyway, such is it's all a chance for enlightenment. This is every obstacle needs to be seen as a chance for enlightenment.
Could you not use a Git repository on it, maybe?
Well, I'm starting to think about it. I did have it in Dropbox, and I like took like a clone of it on Monday. Yeah, and then so it's one of those things where it's a big 15 megabyte file, and there's no granularity on it, the database file.
No.
Maybe Git would be a good way. I mean, I'm sort of Dropbox has its own way of sort of sequencing the files. Something to look into. Good idea. How are things with you, Brent?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I didn't do much over the Christmas and New Year break. I did manage to finish the pull requests on local support for the click-through tracking. I know you had some questions about the test coverage, which we can probably talk at the end. Other than that, I've got the new time of the local support peer programming session straight after today's Scrum.
Right.
I've got assuming there is one, I've got the Phoenix Guides mob later today. And also, I think my focus this week is going to be on async voter to try and move the client along.
Lovely.
But yeah, no blockers. I'm all good. Thanks.
Fantastic. Oh, thank you, Brent, and thank you so much for mentioning those different things that I had forgotten to mention. R&D coming up very soon. Stamatios, how are things going with you?
So things are going pretty well. Regarding Agile Ventures related, I know I dropped out for a little bit, maybe about a week or two, but I wanted to drop back. And I was looking at the pull request. I know you said priority would be to look at the most recent pull request and see if anybody needs assistance or whatnot to complete. However, I noticed that there was a lot in here. And I know that, during like, certain vacation breaks and things like that around this time of the year, around this time of the year, I just wasn't sure if, it was just a little bit delayed in, like they were actually completed, there's no more assistance needed for any of these, or if there was just a little bit of delay in accepting them or whatnot.
Sure. No, so we're talking about the local support.
Local support, yes. I always
projects.
Yep.
Yes. So
I guess we just lost his internet connection. Oh, he's back.
Okay. I am. So now I can't blame BT for that. That was what I did the other day with Brent.
That was the refresh.
Where I'm trying to refresh the local support page down here, and I kind of, it's like I do know that there's the magic trackpad, and if I'm at the wrong angle, I don't press it properly. Anyway, okay, carefully. We're definitely actually press the little spindly thing. There we go. Yes. So pull requests on local support. Yeah. So some developments are that we've added Dependabot, so it's generating these kind of automated pull requests of gems that we should be upgrading. We've got, I mean, this is probably about average for us in terms of outstanding pull requests that are going on. Yeah, what we've just to give you a quick overview there. I think we're sort of at the end of the Scrum. There is so this one that Francis started, and he's not really involved anymore. Nick is now working on. Nick and I paired on this, fixed there was some sort of serious underlying problems that Nick continues to work on this and might be interested in help. There's this one with search local events, which started off with Octopinky and Lianzong, and Octopinky's now sort of dropped out. I've been giving Octopinky some help, and I think I've got a fresh version of that. I think Lianzong is maybe going to be in the local support pairing session after this. Yeah, he's sort of, I think, still struggling with like a lot of the low-level stuff. I think the functionality is there, but we've got into kind of a bit of a messy process there, where a lot of the caching files got checked into this pull request, and so we're trying to start over. We've got this one here from Enes Irigar. He hasn't been around for a while. There's my question on that one, although I guess actually maybe just I didn't notice that he's done some updates there. He sort of put commits in there and not done it. And then we've got Stella, who is I guess is around but not making progress on that. I mean, I guess I don't know what, Brent, you might have a better idea than me. For Stomatios, do you think that the most effective thing would be for him to join someone on one of these outstanding things, or work on a new thing?
I think not familiar with local support, it might be better to go with a pull request that somebody's working on, just to get more familiar with local support. But if you feel you're familiar, then why not start a new one?
Indeed. Does any of that make sense, Stomatios?
Yeah, most definitely. I think actually I would definitely like to just grab something new. So then I was also looking at the backlog and the icebox. Should I be grabbing from the backlog, because it looks like, well, there are some, maybe like less than a handful of things which are available.
Yeah, I mean, ideally one grabs from the backlog.
Right.
There are people who've indicated their interest in doing things, like so this one here. I mean, this one actually was worked on and got rejected by the client, and I think there's additional changes to make there. For the backlog tickets, for those that have people associated with them, it's great to reach out to those people. If there's things that are in the icebox that you want to work on, the thing to do is to, like, particularly if they haven't been voted on, actually, or even if they have been voted on, if they're in the icebox, probably means that they haven't been voted on for a while. Ideally, we kind of get them voted on again, which is something we could do right now as part of this Scrum. If there was anything that took your fancy, we could get it voted on now, discuss it, and then get it moved into the backlog so that you can start working on it.
Nothing came across. I mean, I didn't actually look at it, to be honest with you. I was just wondering regarding the pull request, and then which one should I actually take.
Sure.
But I think I will probably start with one of the backlog items.
Yeah.
Now you're saying that this doesn't mean, just because their name is on it, doesn't mean that they actually started on it. It just means that they wanted to reserve like their spot for working on it. Is that how it works?
I think we probably lost Sam, but yes, that's basically. I mean, in some cases they may well have started on it, but not shown that they've started within Pivotal Tracker. So it's if there's names against them, it's probably worth just reaching out to them in Slack and just checking.
I see. Okay. Then I would just grab whichever one I feel most comfortable with, I guess, and then I'll reach out to whoever is involved.
Yeah, and then just put your name against it, to say that you're interested.
Gotcha.
I guess you've got an account in Pivotal Tracker now and linked to local support, or do you need that setting up?
I believe I have it all set up.
If you don't, just reach out to me on Slack and I can get that set up for you.
Awesome.
yeah, and likewise, if there's something that you want to pair on, then again, give me a shout on Slack, and if I've got a slot that works for both of us, we can always have a session together as well.
Cool.
Hello, sorry about that. Oh.
Hi, Sam.
Hi, yeah, so that time that was BT's fault. I will highlight there. I'm now tethering on my phone as my router has died in the background. Yeah, sorry I dropped that there, but it sounds like, Brent, you picked up the ball for me and we're all good, or are we?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say I think we're all good, but yeah.
Agreed.
Great stuff. Okay, right. Well, there's definitely our Scrum. I guess what we might do with the couple of minutes remaining is just chat about the pull request, Brent, that you'd submitted.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I guess I'm on my phone here. Another screen share. Now the router, of course, it's doing it about every 2 hours. It just drops out for about 30 seconds. But I desperately want to share my screen here, and that may I'm in audio only mode. Give me a moment, and I'll just see if I can switch back onto the main router, and then I can screen share. I always find if we're just sort of talking about the code in the absence of the code, I find just generally, I mean, it's confusing enough talking about the code in the presence of the code. But,
yeah.
All right, give me a second. I'm just going to switch networks.
Okay.
All right, there we go.
Cool.
And if you can, and then we're back into a mode where I can screen share. Yes, and gosh, it's tending to be one of those days. But yeah, so well, I'm very well done to Brent getting this all working. Yeah, so we started to have this chat. Yeah, I was looking through the code and seeing this thing about the so in the acceptance tests. So the big level feature here, and Stamadio, this the part of the benefit of looking through the existing pull requests, even if you don't end up working on them, is seeing the sort of chunks of changes that people make. And so we've got the ordering here called the code ends up being alphabetical, which is a bit silly, but so we've got the new click-throughs controller that Brent has created, which exposes an endpoint which basically does a redirect and allows us to actually create a model entity in the database that represents the click-through. So that's fun.
Very cool.
And then we've got a helper method there, which allows that to be used in various places, and then we've got various other helper methods that then it gets inserted into. So that all seems fine. We've got our click-through model. We've got some things in the views being changed to provide these links. We've got the new route in our config. We've got the migration for the click-through, change to the column type. Yeah, and so the thing that I was noticing was that the acceptance tests, or rather the cucumber tests, they are checking specifically for the tracking link that includes, and then these are Brent, you're riffing here on the way the tests were at the moment, which were the existing tests checked that clicks on those things, or at least sorry, that those particular links appeared.
Yes, correct.
In the page, and so now it's checking that a tracking link appears, and so we can see here it's just it checks for that link, and yeah, all sort of stuff we worked through before. So all well and good. More. Yes, and then so yeah, and I was thinking, oh right, but I guess it's not checking that the actual click-through record is created, and then you were pointing out that the controller test does that, and does that here. Which I did indeed miss yesterday when I was looking through it.
I did try and do it in the acceptance test, but because you had to wrap to test for the change, you had to wrap it in the expect, and I couldn't figure a way of doing that within the cucumber, the way that cucumber works. It's probably simple, and it's just my lack of understanding. Whereas I understood how to do it in RSpec, and I know that cucumber has RSpec under it, but it's the way that the things are. It's what order they go and do things. And
yes, no, indeed, and I know what you mean, because in Cucumber we would say something like, click the link of whatever it happens to be. I don't know, like hello, and then we would say something like, we would be like when would it be when I click the link hello, then there should be a click through in the database or whatever. And yes, because these two things become two separate step definitions, and so the looping thing. Yes, it's right. I certainly see the nature of the conundrum there. I mean, one way to do it is that you can like connect it into a single step definition.
Okay, yeah.
Which is not, I mean, again, that feels like a bit of a hack, because really, if we're saying and, that seems like kind of the thing that we should be breaking up,
on a new line,
on a new line. Yes, I mean, the other way is that rather than using the expect this thing to have caused the change, we have something where we just, rather than expecting the change, we can say that then there should be a click through in the database for hello. And so the sort of the changing thing is kind of defending against this situation where maybe there's already something in the database, and so if we were checking for it explicitly, then we would get like a false positive, right? That's why we like these kind of expecting to change things. That said, the way things are with the Cucumber things is that the database at the moment is not pre-populated with anything, and we kind of add data as part of the background step. Do you know what I mean? So we can kind of, at least my feeling, perhaps my intuition, perhaps, which might be wrong, is that with the Cucumber we can kind of feel pretty confident that the database only has in it what we've put in it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Okay. Fair point. Yeah.
But again, I mean, these are sort of. I mean, I could be criticized potentially for splitting hairs on these things. I'm just sort of now kind of no criticism implied, just brainstorming about different ways that we could approach the task, rather than saying that one's better than the other.
I might do what you've done and look specifically for the entry rather than a change. Leave the change in the RSpec and then test for the actual entry in the Cucumber. And then we've got it in both places.
Yeah, I mean, it's the interesting thing, of course, here with if we click on some external thing, this is an area that we get to, which is kind of tricky for Capybara, because I think Capybara, then I think we kind of lose tracking. I seem to remember having struggling with this before. You want to sort of, because if we actually click on the link, it's first going to go to our system, and presumably the click through is going to be added, and then it's going to do the redirect. And I have a feeling that the redirect can't be checked for easily in Capybara. I might be wrong about that. But yeah, when we've got a, I think actually between the two things that you've got, I think you've worked quite nicely with the grain of the system here. Of we were previously only checking for the presence or absence of the links, and we're now checking for their varied version, and you've got a separate test then that's with the click-through controller. And I mean, in terms of getting it out to the client without delay, I'm almost leaning on the side of, although I don't like controller tests in general, I think actually when we're doing redirects is one of the times when we maybe have to use them.
Right, okay.
The only other thing that I just thought here was this doesn't, the one thing that could possibly slip through the cracks here, which we were just talking about, is that because you're checking that the click-through count changed, it's conceivable someone could adjust the code so that a click-through was deleted every time somebody came through, or that the wrong click-through was added, and this wouldn't check for that, would it?
Yeah, fair point.
But so yeah,
I think when you use change by itself, I think it, like you say, it could be either way. It could be removed or added.
Right.
and it could be any number, but I think you can actually add some additional.
I think you can. I think you can like to change by one.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So it could be tighter, but again, I'm at the risk of splitting hairs there. And in some ways, yeah, it's probably worth one round of reflection, and maybe the reflection is actually it's enough and it's not worth worrying about. But it's I think it's interesting to think about what these different tests are doing, and
yeah,
you know, how they help us down the line.
Yes. Yeah, I'll have a look at the cucumber as well, and then yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So certainly don't tie yourself in knots about it. It's the kind of thing. I mean, Stamatios, you know, if you were interested to look at with Brent, he might be interested to chat with you further about the different bits and pieces of this feature. But yeah, I think I've said enough. Probably too much, as usual. I guess we'll leave that there. You've got the local support pairing session coming up, so
yeah, 7 minutes, I believe. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Well, I think that's our Scrum. Lovely to see you, Stamatios. Sorry about the internet things. I'll go and take a fire iron to beating.
No
Yeah, good stuff. All right. Great to see you both, and see you very soon.
Yeah,
Bye for now.
Cheers. Thanks. Cheers. Bye, Stamatios.
Take care.
Cheers.